Well, yesterday we had a great day here at the conference as well, and I was listening to several talks in the freelancers section. And so yesterday I got to thinking about something after the talk of Polina Kordik, where she was speaking about finding your niche. Said that you have to look at all your qualifications, certificates, courses that you did, look at all of that and see if something comes up, if you can understand actually what you're good at and what you can develop in. So I did, and I'm going to introduce myself using this little description, so to say. So, and I hope that you will also understand where my interest towards teaching presentation skills, towards teaching teenagers come from. So, I started my career as a university teacher. I used to teach at the economics department and at the IT department. So probably my love towards business English comes from that time. So I really enjoyed teaching students at the university. So basically I have been teaching adults general and business English beginning since that time, since 1998, when I was still a student myself. Then I became a member of IATEFL BSIG in 2014 when I took part in the first international conference outside of Russia, and that changed my life forever, actually. So I met amazing people who really helped me, encouraged me in my development, and helped me to do what I wanted in my career, so to say. So I would say that my development in business English really started from that moment. Then I started teaching at the Dmitry Nikitin School, and at first, of course, I was still teaching just adults. And when I had to start teaching teenagers, I was really horrified. So I didn't know how I would do it, so it was really scary. I had to cover for my colleague who was going on a maternity leave, and for me it was really scary. So I thought, okay, maybe I would just do it once, for 2 months till the end of the school year, and then that's it. And you know what? Actually, it did not finish like that. It got to me. I really started enjoying teaching teenagers. And a lot of things that I thought I would do with adults, I tried doing them with teenagers. And actually, I think that it works really well. So, and the final step I would like to mention about is that this year, together with Ron Moraine and Trendy English team, we started developing the community of business English teachers in Russia, and I hope that also this project will develop and more teachers of business English will be involved, and together we will be able to create some wonderful products and to teach even better than we do now. Well, yeah, then why teenagers? Like, how come I suggest starting teaching business English skills to teenagers, so at a very early age? So, I mean, I'll tell you which teenagers I mostly deal with. So basically, I really was thinking and reflecting a lot about what is business English. I asked my colleagues abroad when I attended conferences on business English. So I really was trying to answer this question, what is business English? So when I was teaching at university, it was all clear, right? So it was all clear what I had to teach. And so especially that I was teaching at the economics department. But then what really attracted me in the idea of business English was that it was applicable. It was connected to real life. So sometimes whatever we teach in general English might not be Applicable, I mean, we speak about the topics, we teach some things, we do some grammar, we explain grammar a lot, but it might not necessarily result in our students using it in their real life. So for me, business English was something you can really use, applicable and practical, and that's why I fell in love with it. That's why I thought that it's really important. So of course, business English is usually determined as English for the workplace, right? So English that people need when they start working, when they communicate internationally. So, and business English includes so many things, it's really difficult to put it all in just one definition. But I started thinking that, you know, our teenagers are the future leaders, they are the future workforce. Shouldn't we start teaching them the basics of business English early on, so that by the time they go to their job, they already have these skills? Well, another interesting talk I listened to just yesterday, came across or stumbled upon even, it was a talk from IATFL last year, in which the future prospect of development of jobs developments were given. And so there was this idea that actually the job market is changing so fast that we really don't know which jobs will appear, let's say in 10 years time. So we don't really know what jobs our teenagers will be doing. But what we know for sure is that these 21st century skills, and especially the 4 C's that we all know about, collaboration, communication, creativity, and critical thinking, and a lot of other little bits that grow out of these 4 C's, they will definitely be needed. So, and we have to teach our teenagers those skills. Well, and I'm going to tell you about our project that I started doing last year, in which I would say that I hope, I believe that teenagers have a chance to develop these 4 C's, and I'm going to go through the process of organizing the club that I'm going to talk about, and I hope that you'll understand how well these skills are being developed. Okay, so I'm talking about Dmitry Nikitin School TED Club. So this year was the 2nd round of the club, and you know, it's like I'm always excited to talk about that, because now my 2 passions came together. So my passion for public speaking and for teaching presentation skills, and my passion for teaching teenagers now, they all were connected together in this project, and I can see really good results. So I'm going to share today which results we got. So how does it go? Well, basically it all started with me writing an email to TED asking for permission to organize a TED club. And probably some of you know that they actually grant this permission, they provide the materials. The only demand is that you have to do it free of charge. You can't charge for organizing the club. So we have it as an extracurricular activity on Sunday, which for our students is free of charge. So we don't charge additionally for this TED club. It's like included in the variety of things that we do besides classes. And of course, it is totally voluntary, so anybody who would like can join in. So basically teenagers are of, say, the age of 13 to 17 more or less, maybe from 12 sometimes, and the level is beginning from B1. So I would recommend students beginning from B1 level and above to join the club. So we usually have 10 meetings and a final presentation. So in the photos you can actually see the group of teenagers here. that were presenting last year. So this year our presentations were held online, which was also quite an interesting experience for the participants. Well, so what shall we start with? Well, basically my idea at first, of course, was to teach those teenagers to make wonderful talks, yeah, to create excellent talks that people would listen to. And when I started researching the topic of public speaking, or making presentations, it was many years ago, I really liked the book written by Gar Reynolds, Presentation Zen. So it became like my handbook for teaching presentation skills. And I'm going to tell you a story from the book, which I really love. And I think that it actually illustrates the idea of what I believe an ideal presentation should be. So the author of the book, Gar Reynolds, was once traveling on the train. So it was in Tokyo, Japan. So he was in a hurry, so he was getting late, and he bought well, Japanese lunchbox bento, which looks kind of like that. You can see in the picture, it can look a little bit different, but that's not the point. So, and when Gar sat down and started, just was about to enjoy his wonderful lunchbox, in the corner of his eye, he saw a Japanese gentleman digging through piles and piles of different pieces of paper with a lot of information on them, with some numbers, with some tables, and he was trying to review something. He was trying to repeat something, it seemed. So it seemed that that gentleman was trying to memorize a lot of data, a lot of numbers for a presentation that he was going to give. And Gar Reynolds, who was sitting there enjoying his lunch, he thought, well, why can't a business talk be more like bento, a Japanese lunchbox, including only, you know, the most nutritious ingredients, very simple in decoration, having nothing that is not up to the point, 20 minutes to spend, to enjoy your time, yes, to really enjoy your time. So, and then he asks a question, and when was the last time that you enjoyed somebody's talk that much as you enjoyed your lunch? So actually, I also hope that you had a nice lunch, and this photo can actually get you to thinking about matters other than food. And I really liked this metaphor, yeah, and I thought, really, like, why can't we create such presentations so that the content is appropriate, it's simple to understand, it's simple to grasp, it doesn't have anything that is unnecessary, it is all put in a very understandable, clear manner, and it speaks to you, yeah, it invites you as a listener, as the audience. Well, of course, creating a talk is not the main idea of our club. Well, that is the product that students will present in the end. But of course, the club is much more than that. The club is about creating this atmosphere in which students can learn those 4C skills: collaboration, communication, where they can develop critical thinking and creativity. You know, our teenagers actually are in a very difficult situation very often. They don't really have this safe environment where they can express their opinions openly and they would not be judged. I don't know about the schools in other countries and cities, but in our schools in Russia, teenagers are not really given the chance to speak out. They're not really given the chance to express their ideas because they have to follow instructions strictly. They have to do what the teacher asks. So the teacher is still, well, the focus of attention, I would say. And I would like, well, I wanted to create this atmosphere in the club where every member, first of all, was not afraid to express their ideas, even though they could be crazy, strange, or wild, unpopular, I don't know, anything. So, and they would know that nobody would judge them.
Коллеги, школа Дмитрия Никитина приглашает вас на курс Teaching Teens. Это трехмесячный онлайн-курс, созданный для преподавателей, обучающих учеников подросткового возраста 13-18 лет. Создавая курс, мы задали себе два ключевых вопроса. Как наиболее эффективно формировать у подростков языковые умения и как интегрировать в программу обучения английскому языку механизмы развития soft skills. Курс проводится на английском языке. Подробности можно узнать по QR-коду на экране или по ссылке в описании.
So we try to create this supportive atmosphere, yeah. And the first thing we do when we start the club for the year is to discuss the rules. And another thing that happens in the club is I try to give as much autonomy to the students as possible, which is again not a very usual thing for them in their lives, right? So their parents tell them what to do, their teachers tell them what to do. Sometimes, well, they don't have many chances to be themselves, to do what they want, to say what they want. So we discuss the club rules together. Of course, I do moderating and maybe prompting a little bit. So, and you can see what club rules we came up with. Yeah, so it's really important to listen to each other, help each other, collaboration, cooperation, give constructive feedback, not just that's rubbish or I don't like that. We had such situations when they did not agree with the ideas of each other. Of course, it's only natural, but I would not allow them to just criticize without giving some constructive feedback. So I really wanted students to feel safe and to want to go back and to want to be open. So, because the topics that we discuss are really the topics that, you know, are not the usual topics they would discuss in a classroom. So they had to be confident that they would not be ridiculed, you know, they would not be laughed at, so that they will not have to close down again and hide in their shell, so to say. So step one, discussing the rules together, making a poster or making a slide that we can go back to and look at the rules. If there are new members who join the club during the year, we always introduce them to the rules. The next point is getting to know each other, and it's not only for the members of the club to get to know each other, but also for them to understand themselves. So the task is to create a badge, so to say, as you can see in the picture here, to create a badge using all these creative materials. It could be some pictures, some paintings. We do it in class usually if it is offline like that. So they cut things out. They really enjoy doing these little arts and crafts because at their age, nobody already plays with them. Like, you know, as if they're children, right? So in their primary school, they did all that arts and crafts, drawing and stuff, and now everything is serious. So they really, I think, lack this element of creativity sometimes in their lives. So, and they have to think of 3 things in their life that make their heart beat faster. So maybe that is a hobby or an interest. And it's always really interesting to see how they open up, how they tell about themselves. And later on, it could help them choose the topic, yeah, of their future talk, because the topic can be connected with their interests, right, with their hobbies. So it doesn't only let the club members get to know each other, but I think that it also helps students themselves to understand their passion and their hobby and their interest. And they're always very proud to share their badges and to say what they are fond of, what they enjoy doing in their lives. We all like speaking about ourselves, right? So this step is a kind of self-presentation, isn't it? So it is a self-presentation that they will need to do in their future life all the time. Next step, because we have a TED club, yeah, so our club is based on TED Talks, and the slogan of TED is ideas worth spreading. So we discuss again together what is a great idea, and here you can see some of the ideas of teenagers that they came up with. So we create, if I have many people in a club, yeah, so I break them into several groups, and together in a group they create this poster, coming up to a conclusion what makes a great idea great. Yeah, and you can see here some of the ideas that the students had. It's always interesting and the posters are always beautiful, so I also want them to have this visual element to the club as well, where they can draw, so they can create something bright that would be attractive to the eye. We also have this, here you can see we have a little workbook where they write a lot of things that we are doing, things that we discuss. Okay, so that is that. And then every meeting further is dedicated to a particular topic. So we discuss, for example, the structure. Yeah, so we listen to TED Talks. Either they listen to them at home. So here I do recommend which talks to listen to. So I choose TED Talks which are given by teenagers. So the teenagers can have like role models, or they can see that it's possible to give a talk confidently in front of many people, yeah, and they could see that teenagers discuss really vital topics in their talks. So I give them the TED Talks to watch. If they want, of course, they can choose them themselves, and they do sometimes, but in class, at the meetings, we discuss certain TED Talks. So then, how do I go about structure? Do I tell them what to do? Of course not. No. Telling what to do in our club is a no-no. So we watch TED Talks and we discuss together. Okay, let's have a look. Why? What do you think? Was it a successful talk or not? Why do you think so? What made it successful? What made it bright? Okay, so what was the structure? What did they start with? How did they finish? And we discuss all that, and already in these discussions they come up, they understand the idea. Yeah, so you don't have to, I don't have to tell them, because they already understand how it works. And the basic things, well, they just arise. Yeah, they are elicited, because it's not that difficult, yeah, to understand what a clear structure is. But usually when a teenager gives a talk, maybe sometimes they don't think about it. So we do think about that when creating, they do think about that when creating their talks. Of course, we dedicate a special meeting to a powerful beginning. And again, there are certain TED Talks which can be used as an example of using this or that beginning, right? So it could be a captivating story at the beginning, or maybe a short video, some rhetorical question, whatever. So there is a list in the slide. There are some of the variants how the talk can be started. And again, I don't give them the list. We watch TED Talks and we see how it works, right? So I always believe that showing by example is better than just explaining theoretically. And here you can see that I have a joke in red. So basically, I believe that it's not a very safe thing to start a talk with a joke, especially in an international audience, because we all have very different sense of humor. So just to be on the safe side, I would say maybe it's better not to start the first talk with a joke, so because it might have an unexpected effect. So we never know what the reaction could be. Memorable ending. Again, we dedicate another meeting to a memorable ending. And here I always ask them to think maybe of some catchy phrase or maybe a motto, a slogan that would keep the attention of the audience. So we want to leave the audience thinking, yeah, about the topic. We don't want them just to listen and forget about it. So the idea of the talk is to touch the strings of the person, of the audience, and I ask them, if possible, to come up with some kind of catchy phrase. And you will see that I'll give you examples of the topics that my students chose, and you will see that it was possible. They really did it. So our teenagers are so creative. It's like every time I'm amazed at how much they can do, much more than we expect them. Storytelling, yeah, I love storytelling, and I also think that storytelling is one of the most powerful ways to put ideas into the world today. Well, just recently I analyzed, thinking about the talks that I enjoy. I came to a conclusion that usually the talks that I really love are based on a personal story. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I personally really am attracted to the talks where the person tells their story. And again, I teach students, I teach teenagers not to be ashamed of share their personal stories, because when they do, that is when they make the most impact. And for them, it might be also scary, right? That might be uncomfortable to share their personal stories, but they do it. So the club is also a place where they can train themselves to be the person they want to be. Yeah, so, and when they already played it over in the club, it might be easier for them to do it in real life. And voice power, of course, yeah, so it's one thing to create slides, to create presentation, to create a talk, maybe to write a talk, but the manner in which you present the talk, the words that you stress, the pauses that you make, your intonation, the speed with which you speak, that is also really important. Well, what I did this year with my students, I asked them to send in all details, to write what they're going to say. I asked them to write, send me the text, and I tried to read the text for them, audio recording myself, so that they could see where to make pauses, how to put emphasis. So, and I hope it helped. Yeah, so this year I tried to do it this way. And of course we practice. So they practice delivering the talk for their fellow students, and their fellow students have to give feedback. Well, we do give a lot of feedback at all stages, beginning from the stage when they come up with their idea. So then they present the idea, then our fellow students can maybe give some ideas of how to develop it, or maybe can say it's not a good idea. I don't know. So there is feedback all the way. Yeah, so we do this in cooperation and collaboration. So I encourage the students to share their ideas and to ask for opinions of their group mates, and then to think whether they would like to apply this feedback or not. So practice creates confidence, confidence empowers you, and of course, I always tell them that it's impossible to give a brilliant talk without enough practice, especially at the very beginning, but basically all the time. Okay, and here I just would like to share some photos. Well, I hope you noticed that there were some photos from last year from the presenters, and here you can also see the photos of some of the students. And you can also see the topics that they chose. The first one, for example, no excuse for single use. It was connected with environment. Anastasia, who you can see in the photo, she was giving the talk, a brilliant, most amazing talk. Really, really, I don't know, like it touched the strings of hearts, I guess, of everybody who listened to it. So she was speaking about limiting the use of plastic, and she gave ideas how to do it. And you can see she came up with a slogan, yeah, no excuse for single use, which I think was a brilliant slogan, a brilliant catchy phrase. This year, there were such topics as how to make stress your friend, and the guy who presented this topic, he spoke about his personal story, how to manage your emotions from the position of a teenager, also a very interesting talk with a lot of research. So it's just when they give their talks, it's not they just share their personal story and that's it. It's not primitive. They do research. So maybe they read some articles, maybe they listen to some TED Talks which can help them develop the topic. They use their personal stories, so they dig into the topic. If they need help, of course, I do give them some ideas in which direction to go, how to develop the topic. So the last topic here on this slide, you are your own personality, about relationships and attitudes between parents and children. This talk was given by my daughter. So, and she was speaking about how teenagers would not like to be defined by their parents. Yeah, by what their parents are, because I'm a teacher of English, I teach her and she doesn't. She said, she was speaking about how she would not like to be defined by what her mom does. So, and she would like to be her own personality, different from her mother. A very interesting talk as well. So, and some more examples of topics. For example, you can see Maria here. She was speaking about kindness in the modern world, about that, thing which sometimes becomes really rare. Helping elderly people to feel less lonely was another topic. Misunderstanding between people, how to fight your fears. That was the topic of this year, and Julia was giving her private story of how she was afraid of vaccination and how she overcame her fear, and the benefits of computer games. So here you can see two more of our speakers from last year, and one more minute and I will finish. So I'm careful with time, so we have like 6 minutes for me to finish and for your questions. So what benefits do I see in organizing this club? And even though sometimes I'm a little bit, dismotivated, maybe, or not motivated, like this year, I only had 2 girls to begin with, and I was not very excited that I had so few participants. But in the long run, after we finish this cycle of 10 meetings, after I listened to their talks, I really am so happy we did it. Well, what I saw, what benefits I saw, and what I really appreciate in this club. Anyone can join, meaning any of our students can join in. And what was interesting was that we had 2 students. One of them was a Czech student, a student of Czech language at our school. He was not attending English classes and he still joined in, which was quite interesting. And this year we had a girl who attended Spanish language classes at our school, not English language classes, and she joined in. So I really enjoy having a variety of people, a variety of students. So that is the place where they get to know new people. Yes, they are not all my students. I mean, I don't teach all of them. Yes, they have different English language teachers, or even not English language. Other languages are learned as well. So it's like a variety of teenagers from different groups. Creative approach. Yeah, so here they have a chance to, as you could see, do some things they are good at, be that drawing, maybe they have to be creative with choosing of the topic. It also makes their brain work. What can they talk about so that the audience listens? So that's not an easy task as well. I was really worried when I first did it. I was really worried what they would choose, and I was really worried that I could not, I could not choose it for them. I mean, like, I could not choose it. They had to choose, and I was really worried, but it all went really great. So it is a chance to discover their hidden talents. For example, last year, one of the girls, you can see her here in the photo, Anastasia here. So she drew her own slides, okay? So she decided to create the slides herself. So she made little drawings herself on the computer. So she decided not to choose a photo, but to make a drawing herself, which was really nice. Autonomy. They are absolutely autonomous in choosing their topic, in thinking of how they will go around it, how they will structure it. I am only there to help. I am not giving them ready-made answers and solutions. That's up to them. Critical thinking. Sure, yeah. When they research the topic, when they dig for ideas, they have to be careful what to include, what not. They have to look at different information. They have to filter it, yeah. So they have to be very critical in that. It broadens their horizons, I'm sure, because even like the topics we discuss, the TED Talks we listen in class, they are dedicated to such topics which they usually don't discuss in their classes, or maybe even at home they don't. So it could be discrimination. It could be accepting yourself. It could be environmental issues and problems. It could be struggling with cancer. Yeah. So, and I think that that's important to give our teenagers this chance to think about some global issues, not only just about what you did today or who is your favorite teacher, right? So to make them think globally, and I'm really proud that our students are very open-minded, and it's a real pleasure to work with them because they have this critical thinking. They can discuss different topics, and they have a very mature approach. And of course, it is the place to work with their fears. Well, public speaking is one of the fears, which is one of the top fears all people have. Yeah. So, and that is the place where students have a chance to work with their fears.